Hello everybody, today we're going to do one-step equations with decimals. Again, these videos are for what you need. So if you want to try out the problems right away and then zoom to the answer and make sure that you're on the right track, that's fine. If you need to slow down because you're like, ooh, I can't remember how to multiply decimals or how to add or subtract decimals, this video is going to go through that as well. So again, utilize the video for what you need, but know it's a resource and it's here for you. Okay, so decimal review. Before we get to equations, we need to remember how to use decimals. So when we're adding and subtracting, the key part is lining up our decimal place. So again, notice my example here. I am lining up my decimal place and then I can just add, or again, my example is going to go through subtraction. So again, I'm going to line up my decimal place. If I have a space here, I'm going to add a 0 to fill in that place value. 5.6 is the same as 5.60, okay? And then we're just going to subtract just like we would with kind of normal numbers that are not decimals. So 3 minus 0 is 3. 4 minus 6, so I'm going to take and borrow there. 14 minus 6 is 8. Bring down my decimal place, and then 6 minus 5 is 1. So my answer is 1.83. So again, you have two examples here. You have one with addition that you can look at here. And then again, the one I just went through. So if you need to practice and, think about adding and subtracting decimals, there's a problem for you. Okay, multiplying decimals. So when we're multiplying decimals, we have to we're going to multiply just like they didn't have decimals. So that's the key. Like you're just going to multiply and think of this as 274 times 55 in my example here. Then I need to count my decimal places, and we're going to save that for later. So again, here I would have 2 and here I have 1. Same with my example down here. I have 2 decimal places here and I have 1 decimal place here. And then I'm going to put that same number of places at the very end. So again, I have a total of 3, so I need to put in 1, 2, 3 at the end. And we'll do that on my example. So again, written out example there. We'll do my example on the side here. So 274 times 55 is 20. 35, 36, 37. And then 10, 13, add my place value 0 before I get started on the next one. Again, 20, 35, 36, 37, and then 13. Okay, so I'm going to add up those two numbers on the bottom here. Again, this should all be review. You've done this for a long time, going back to elementary school. And so again, my answer is 15070, but I can't forget my 3 decimal places up here. So then I need to take and put 3 decimal places back in here. So my answer is actually 15.07. And again, now I can get rid of that extra 0. So we're going to get rid of that 0, and that is my final answer. And that makes sense. 2 times 5 is 10. Well, this is actually closer to 3. 2 times 3 is 15. So yeah, my answer should be around 15. So again, if we use that idea of kind of rounding and estimating where our answer should be, 2.74 is close to 3. 5.5 is a little higher than 5. So then if we kind of do 3 times 5 gives us 15, that answer matches. Okay. Next, we're on to dividing decimals. So dividing decimals is a little bit trickier. It's using that long division piece. I want you to practice doing that today and actually working on this skill because it is something that we can still work on. So if we look at our example, we want to make the divisor a whole number by moving the decimal place. So 1.4, in order to make it a whole number, I need to move it 1 time to make it 14. Well, again, what I do to the inside, just like in our equations, I need to do to what I do to the outside, I need to do to the inside. So I'm going to move then 3.64, I'm going to move that 1 time for our dividend. Okay, so that's what's showing over here. So again, I'm going to move my divisor to make it a whole number. However many kind of moves or jumps I need to make in terms of my place value and how many times my decimal needs to move, I need to do the exact same number of places for the inside, the dividend. So now my new problem is 14 divided by 36.4. Again, 14 goes into 36 twice, and that's 28. I'm going to put up my decimal place here then, and I get 84. 14 goes into 84 6 times. Exactly. So again, my 4 would come down. I like to show that arrow. So 14 times 6 is 84. 84 minus 84 is 0. So my answer then is 2.6 for that one. I will do an example on the bottom here, again, to give you another idea. So 45.8, again, the top number is going to be your dividend that goes inside, divided by 2.5. I need to move this one place value to make it a whole number, so I need to move this one place value. So now my new problem is 458 divided by 25. Okay, so now this is just a straight long division problem like you've done before in the past. 25 goes into 45 once. I'm going to subtract. I get 20. I'm going to bring down my 208. So then I have 25, be 25 times 8 would be 200, right? 0. Yep. So 8 here, and that's going to give me 200. I'm going to subtract, and I have 8 left over. Now, 25 cannot go into 8, so I need to add a decimal place and a 0 here. 25 goes into 80 3 times. That would be 75. So I'm going to subtract again, and I'm going to get 5. Add another 0, and 25 goes into 50 twice. So my final answer is 18.32. Okay, now let's look at some equations with decimals. So we've practiced the skills you need before to be able to now apply them to your equations. Again, if you feel like you have a good understanding, you know what you're doing, feel free to just try these problems and then skip to the end where I show the answer and kind of check your answer. If it's incorrect, then you can go back and watch the step-by-step. If you're a person that likes to write down examples first, feel free to do that as well. Okay, number 1. So x minus 1.39 is equal to 8.67. So again, I need to use the opposite or the inverse because my goal is to isolate x. So I have a negative 1.39, so I need to add 1.39. That's 0, which is good. That leaves me with just x over here. And then I need to add 1.39 on this side. Notice if I do it underneath, then I can just actually directly add over here, which is kind of nice. So I like to add it kind of below, and then it kind of saves me a step of having to rewrite everything. So then 7 plus 9 is 16. We have 10. And then we have another 10. So x is equal to 10.06. Again, I can always plug this back in and check over my answer. So again, if I plug 10.06 in and I subtract off 1.39, I should get 8.67 back. So I need to borrow from here, and that's 9, and that's 9, and that's 10. Okay, 16 minus 9 is 7. 9 minus 3 is 6. Keep my decimal place, again, lined up because I'm adding and subtracting. And 9 minus 8 is 1. So yes, I have correctly solved this problem. So my x is equal to 10.06. Okay, let's look at number 2. So 4n is equal to 27.2. Again, I have 4 times n. There's a multiplication there that obviously we can't see. So I need to do the inverse or opposite, which is dividing. So if I divide both sides by 4, 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 1 times n is just n. So we've isolated n, which is our variable in this case. So we're on our way. Okay, now on the right side, I need to actually figure out what 27.2 divided by 4 is. In this case, our divisor is already a whole number, so we don't need to shift any decimal places. We just need to figure out what our division is. So again, 4 goes into 27 6 times. 4 times 6 is 24, so I'm going to subtract and get 3. Again, I'm going to bring my decimal place up and then bring my 2 down. So 4 goes into 32, 8 times, and so my answer is 6.8. So again, that's going to be brought down here, 6.8. Okay, so n is equal to 6.8. I can always, again, check my answer. So 4 times 6.8 should equal 27.2. So again, I'm going to do 68 times 4 and then put in my 1 decimal place at the end. So 8 times 4 is 2, carry the 3, 32. And then 6 times 4 is 24, 25, 26, 27, 272. But remember, I have my 1 decimal place here, so I need to put my decimal place back in here. And I get 27.2 equals 27.2. So yes, I have my n value correct. Okay, the next problem is 36.5 equals 7.3n. Now, remember, it doesn't matter which way these go. If it helps you to rearrange them, as long as you keep everything that was on this side and everything on this side, we can switch them around and make our problem 7.3n equals 36.5. So all we've done is said, okay, this expression is equal to this expression. It doesn't matter which order we take, okay? So that's something that might be helpful if you are used to seeing your variable on the left side versus the right side. Okay, again, I have 7.3 times n, so I need to do the inverse, which is dividing. That gives me 1, and 1 times n is just n, which is awesome. I have isolated it on this side. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other side, so I need to divide by 7.3 on this side as well. So I have another good division problem for you. I feel like these are the hardest ones, so I wanted to give you another example. In this case, we do need to shift our divisor and our dividend by 1 place value to make my divisor whole. So 73 divided by 365. Okay, so 73 goes in, let's see, I think 4 or 5 times. So let's try 5. 15. It's exactly 5 times. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Okay, I have not done these problems ahead of time. So 73 goes into 365 exactly 5 times. So my answer is just 5. Okay, again, I want to check my answer by putting in where I see n. I want to put in 5. So I have 7.3 times 5. Again, I'm going to pretend this is 73 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. And we have 7 times 5 is 35 plus 1 is 36. And then I have that 1 decimal place. So I'm going to add in a 1 decimal place here. And I want to make sure that I have 36.5 is equal to 36.5. Which means I have correctly found n. Okay, last one here is going to be x plus 8.6 equals 17.5. Again, I'm going to draw my equal sign to make sure that I'm keeping my left and my right clear. I have x plus, I have a positive 8.6, so I need to do the opposite and subtract. Again, use my inverse. What I do to one side, I have to do the other side. And again, if I line them up this way, I really clearly see 0 here, which is good because then I just bring my x down. But on this side now, I can just directly do my subtraction, which is nice. So again, I need to borrow here. I get 15 minus 6 is 9. Bring my decimal place down. And I have 16 minus 8 is 8. So my answer is 8.9. Again, these are relatively simple, but remember, we're going to head into two-step and multi-step and variables on both sides, so this will get more complicated. I want to start out with just doing some good review on decimals and fractions before we head to our two-step. So last step is to always check my answer. So I need to do 8.9 plus 8.6. Again, I just plugged in 8.9 here. And I want to make sure that it equals 17.5. So that's what we're trying to make sure that our addition equals. So 9 and plus 6 is 15. And then I have 8, bring my decimal place down. 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 1 is 17. So 17.5 equals 17.5. Yes, I have done it correctly. Okay, so now you're going to head to math space, and there's an assignment called decimal, and it's review and one-step equations. So within this assignment, you're going to be doing some just decimal review, adding, subtracting decimals, multiplying, dividing, and then there are a couple decimal one-step equations for you to complete.